Greetings everyone, this is Kitchen and welcome to my national overview of Nehekhara, the Tomb Kings. Tomb Kings are an undead race that's not necessarily like purely evil necromancers like they tend to be depicted in whether normal dominions or compared to other Warhammer nations like Vampiria or Nagashizar. If I remember lore-wise, they basically got kinda cursed where all their people turned undead, sort of like Necrons turned into, well, Necrons in 40k. But in case of Tomb Kings, all of the people like kept their minds more or less intact, I believe. So they are sentient undead, which are not evil, right? They're just like a conqueror nations of humans back in the time. And they really hate vampires because they got screwed by Nagash, who, if I remember correctly, betrayed Cetra in the process of him seeking mortality, and that's what cursed the nations, more or less. That's kind of their lore, if I remember that right. So yeah, the undead humans, mostly, prefer hit scale 2, half income and pop loss from death. Half income and pop loss from death is amazing. One thing that's also should be added, although it's mentioned in military, is that they have chariots. So yeah, shielded infantry, archers, chariots, and powerful and resilient animated statues. Now, keep that one in mind. Magic, death with fire, air, astral, and earth. Pretty solid diversity, with death being the strongest path. Strong priests, I would argue with that. With chanters that strengthen undead, that's very good part of it. It's pretty similar to how armor has some undead buffing, holy spells. One issue with priests is that while you have access to holy freeze, your holy freeze are undead, so you cannot preach. So that's a big thing to keep in mind. Mechanics, no mercs. That's technically not true. You can get mercenaries. They have like ridiculous, at least 500, I think, percent multiplier on their price, if not more. So it's just completely not worth getting them. Troops have no upkeep because they're undead. Sadly, your leaders do cost upkeep though. Statues require lab and temple. This is a bit of a relic of the past because back in Dominus 5 you could recruit much bigger variety of statues from your forts. It's no longer the case. Recruitment unlocks the Dominion 1, 2, 4, and 6. Now this one is a big part of nation. By default, you have access to only your very basic troops at Dominion 1. At Dominion 0 you can't get any, if I remember correctly. But just very basic. 2, it slightly increases. 4 is the very important breakpoint. It unlocks most of your roster. And 6 is mainly for capital recruitment, but also for the only statue, well, technically second statue you can recruit if you count Necropolis Knights, but the only pure statue you can recruit given right conditions. Scales and blesses, order limit +1, hit limit +1, death limit +4, so you cannot go growth. Building standard forts, but necrotechs can build better forts, so you have masons, which is awesome. Let's just jump straight into troops, right? Your basic infantry. And here we can see the team that will continue throughout the whole roster. 12 gold is increased price over basic, like gold parity for regular humans being 10. So you pay 12 gold for even less hit points. Basically non-existent armor in these guys. These guys are literally naked. They have no natural protection either. They have shitty spear and decently large shield with parry 6, but not particularly amazing protection. These guys are undead, of course, so standard traits that come with undead, except of being mindless, because like I was saying, there are still humans in there. And they have formation fighter, these ones. So there are two flavors of these. The completely naked guys, and the ones that have something on them with resource increase of whopping 3. So definitely worth getting these guys just so they have at least some chance of surviving getting hit. But suffice to say, these guys are terrible. And it's going to be true for a lot of basic roster for Nehekhara. Just abysmal value gold-wise to what you're getting. The saving grace of them is that they have 30 morale, so you can win some fights through just grinding enemy down. It's mainly about the indies, because like what are you gonna do with 13 bronze spear against many of the high protection nations in the game? Nothing. They're lance catchers at best. So you start, by the way, you start your expansion with a lot of these guys and some of archers. So yeah, I would highly advise to avoid recruiting them unless you have something very specific in mind. Even in early game, just try to get to higher dominion before you start recruiting your units. Argument is to be made to at least maybe get one round at the very first turn, so you just bolster your starting army so it has some longevity instead of dying after first fight against indies, because you'll be taking losses, obviously, with garbage troop like that. Not much to say about them. Again, well, the other saving grace is they have no upkeep, but again, the upfront cost of 12 for this is just brutal. They're super bad. Like regular long dead chew through your basic recruits. And that's the thing about Nehekhara. You have to recruit your undead. You don't have respawn mechanic. You don't have like temple summoning. You can summon things with death, gems, for example, but nothing like reanimating with your priests or anything like that. We move up to Nehekhara Light Infantry that has Bronze Blade. Slightly, maybe not better than Spear, just different. They lose Formation Fighter for a little bit more stats in attack and defense department because it nice little stats here. Similar story though, absolutely awful, and they have the alternative version with a little bit of armor, slightly better. I think in general, like they're very comparable. Depending on what you fight, sometimes the formation will pull out ahead, and sometimes those little bit extra stats from Bronze Blade and it being slashing with a little bit extra damage will make a difference. But again, avoid recruiting these unless you just have to. Let's get into your archers. So similar story, you have two variants. Let's just show them from the get-go. One that is naked and one that is wearing a little bit of clothing. For purely mass intentions, if you don't have enough resources, it's fine to get these if you want archers, but otherwise I would still recommend sticking to these. Maybe they can survive a tick of damage or something. We see even more gold. There's 14 gold now, which is just... I mean, it's crazy to be paying 14 gold for a unit like that can die to single earthquake, basically. But the Nehekhara bows, they're not bad. They're better short bows, essentially. They have a little bit extra range and a little bit extra damage over normal short bows. It's not long bow, though, that's for sure. But yeah, you start with some of the naked variant, and they are quite good when you go against anything that's vulnerable to archers. Maybe don't recruit them as your primary force, because you could run into somebody with heavy armor, you run into somebody with big shields, or somebody that just doesn't really care about being shot through other means. And yeah, all of them are useless, but they have place in your roster. Sorry, not in your roster, in your roster. So yeah, respectable archers. Again, it's just expensive, so expensive to mass. Again, no upkeep, so that's something to keep in mind. You have access to fire, and you can potentially get a communion going too with fire, so fire arrows are an option, and yeah, then these guys become way more interesting, at least before Airfend comes to play or Storm. So yeah, these guys, not very useful early on. I think they're mainly a thing for late game, unless, again, you have something specific in mind that can work out in the early game. Moving up, these guys are, and yeah, all of these, Dominion 1 requirement. So the guys further are Dominion 4 already. So Nehekhara Warrior, same price as the archers. Now, they are not bad. They have still horrible armor, and their stats are nothing to sing praises about. But they're the wielders, and there's always a place for the wielders. They dish out a lot of attacks per tile, 6 if you run a lot of those warriors. But these are not like particularly damaging attacks. It's only 14. It's nothing special in general. And the problem is that because they require Dominion 4 to recruit, you just have way better options to recruit at that breakpoint. So I probably never used them, honestly. I never willingly recruited them. Maybe besides like testing them like a long time ago, maybe back in Dominions 5. Just too expensive and too fragile to bother as any mainline troop. Again, maybe very specific niche scenario when you want just sheer attack density against something. That's like low protection, low hit points. Maybe if you expect to go against mass chaff of some sort, they can help with cutting through it. Personally, I wouldn't bother. But here are your actually good troops, finally. So, Tomb Guard. And we see one of bigger strengths of Nehekhara is their accessibility to magic weapons. 18 gold, so pretty expensive for low hit points and low armor, but we're starting to talk decent stats. Defense, nothing crazy, especially because a lot of it is in a shield, and if you're getting hit in a shield, your armor summary is not particularly amazing, so you still might get killed quite easily with anything hitting hard. But yeah, they can accept some punishment. And they come with Tomb Copper, so this is very good weapon. It's basically a broadsword that's magical. So cool. They come with Bodyguard. Resource-wise, not particularly crazy high. That's one of the also, let's say, benefits of having weak armor is your resource costs are pretty low. It doesn't really matter because your necrotechs are also buffing your resources in the province a little bit, and you have access to citadels. So at the end, it's not going to be resources holding you back. But yeah, no, these guys are starting to be respectable. I don't really get many of these guys. I think they have plays to be used for sure. But I feel like for general purpose, the next two variants are just more useful. Tomb Guard with glaives. These are, I think, your best foot infantry. They have weaker shield, the buckler, but it's still a shield on a unit that has two-handed weapons, so pretty unique thing. Just a little bit of parry potentially against ranged attacks, a little bit of a bump in defense. And they're swinging glaives, which smack for 25 damage. Now this is respectable as heck. Alternating damage type between slashing and piercing with length 3. It's always funny to me that the glaives are often length 3 instead of length 4 in Dominance. Sombre is just keeping things consistent with Dominance. It's not like he doesn't want to make it length 4, probably mainly because of it. A little bit of loss of attack compared to the Kopesh, but I think it's absolutely worth. Just sheer damage value on them is amazing. They come in tiles of 3. Of course, they don't have Formation Fighter. But yeah, again, it's just the damage. When they swing and they hit, they're gonna be damaging heavily armored units. They'll be easily killing anything less. And there are some means of your mundane fighting against elite units. Magical weapons help a ton against any attempt of Mistform, Body Tier, or stuff like that. So yeah, again, they're still pricey, right? 18 gold. If you tend to look at gold to hit points ratio, it's not gonna be great, but no upkeep. No upkeep is nice. And they come with Bodyguard too. It's standard for Tomb Guard. So yeah, these guys, good. I like them. The next one is Tomb Guard, and they have Tomb Spears. Now those are like 4. Same stats, same gear, essentially, as the first Tomb Guard, with some Ornate Armor and Ornate Headdress. The Ornate Headdress is the better part of Tomb Guard compared to your regular skeletons, basically. And yeah, the main benefit of them is while the attack value goes quite a lot down compared to the glaive, they come with Formation Fighter. it does have its uses. Like the density of attacks jumps to 4. That's one of the reasons why, the Nehekhara warrior will have 2 attacks over them, but these are better damaging, more durable, magical damage. So if I want to deal with chaff, I probably would rather get the guys that have formation fighter in that case. They're mainly just to stall. Like, while the glaives are to kill, these are to stall. And they can stall pretty well. Like, you have repelling coming into the picture more reliably. The protection, though, still doesn't cut it with this hit points value. So there are some ways, of course, with point buffing to make them work, but if you recruit any of these 3, you can't go wrong, but probably the glaives are the best variant for general purpose. If you are just not sure what you will be facing, they will do some work against it regardless. Now, for your mounted unit sort of variety, horse archers, 20 gold. The thing is, because your nations is made out of undead, you get, what, 2 extra move points compared to the foot archers? A little bit of extra durability in form of there being a horse that can be hit, but the horse itself is also 11 hit points and no protection. They have mobile archer, so there's some attempted fighting you can do with them. Probably not worth it, let's be real. I never recruited them. Yeah, just I don't want to talk too poorly about them, but they don't even have a dagger while being mounted. They just smack somebody with a fist. Yeah, these are horrible. Like, if you want bows, just get the regular archers. They'll do much better. And if you want raiding, there are better ways of raiding. But they're there. It's a flavor for Nehekhara, so sure, a unit. Horsemen, 21 gold. They are rocking a little bit of armor. Again, nothing to really count on when getting hit. Horse stays unarmored. Yeah, again, I never gotten them. They do have a light charge, so in large enough numbers, they can put some work in raiding. Just similar to the long dead horses, which are kind of similar in having basically non-existent armor. And that light lance type attack, but you'll be taking heavy losses. It's a lot of gold to be investing in something that will be just dying in droves. You'll be losing so many horses as well. Like, this thing is so bad. It also has 10 magic resistance, so it's gonna get banished away by basic beasts quite easily. Again, never recruited these 2. Look, maybe I'm wrong, but as far as my knowledge of Dominion goes, they seem just horrible. What is not horrible are 2 next units, it's chariots. So the first variant is archers. I admit I haven't gotten many of these in the very few games I played with them. It's not like I'm like super main of Nehekhara. I played 1 real multiplayer game with them, 1 Blitz, I believe. Possibly Dominion 5 still, and a little bit of single player. So, like, the holdover is mainly from me playing 1 multiplayer game that's still ongoing by the time of this recording, and some single player testing and just liking the team of Nehekhara. But yeah, these guys, they have 2 archers in form of the charioteer himself and one of the crew members. So it's not bad. It's not quite the arrow density you get from regular archers, 2 versus 3, right? But they are also mobile archers, so if you want to be doing mobile retreating shooting, you can get them. They are 50% more expensive, but it's a chariot. Chariot that's arguably not very durable, having only 13 hit points, but it at least has some barding on it. And it's a chariot. Chariots are fantastic. They're size 6 chariots, so anything that's size 6 and above will crap on them, essentially. They're not gonna do anything to it. But anything below that, trampling is incredibly powerful effect. To those that do not know, you deal armor piercing damage to the whole square you are trampling. it is evaded by defense, but if the dodge succeeds, you still take 1 point of damage. And it's untyped, so it's not resisted by Temper Flesh, for example, right? Or, if somebody took Resilience in their Bliss. Tramplers, in general, just crap on infantry. Anything smaller. That's not like exceedingly high defense, because trampling is tied to combat speed, and you trample way more often than the turn of combat happens, right? So let's say you swing 1 per turn, right? Normally, unless you have quickness. But there can be 2 or 3 instances of trampling happening at the same time. So tramplers are just much more deadly. And yeah, that's the first variant. And the other variant, which is my preferred type, are the guys that have spears. Spears, since Dominion 6 made some changes, you can actually attack while trampling. It has some consistency finicking because of how targeting works, but still extra damage. They can repel with those spears as well. And yeah, it's just the same chariot as the archers, but spearmen instead of archers. I don't think archers are wrong. Like, even I think they have some unique advantages where you might be able to snipe some mages potentially, or maybe cause enough casualties to make some weakly armored units start routing before you make a contact with chariots. But for general purpose, I liked the spears more. And these guys also have Unstormable. I think it's standard thing that chariots tend to have. So yeah, amazing unit. Expensive, don't get me wrong, 35 gold is a lot for something that's so squishy. But being chariot, absolutely devastating in large numbers against infantry. So I would say chariots and your Tomb Guard are your 2 essential troops for scales. If you want to just amass units and you're not leaning heavily into the bless for your sacreds, that's the way to go as far as your recruitment. Now you have more special unit with limited recruitment 3 that requires Dominion 6, Temple, and the Lab to recruit. Requirements, hefty requirements. The price 60 gold now. What are we getting for that price? We are getting the Tomb Guard with spear on top of a snake, Necroserpent. I think this unit is terrible. I've tried to make it work. It's just really bad. At best, it's like some flanker that has magical damage. So because they're reasonably speedy with combat speed 20, this thing has 2 attacks, hitting a rat decently hard with decent value. A tail is blunt or slash. Fangs have paralyzing poison. Could come into the play once in a blue moon. If you run to some thug and you bite him and he doesn't have poison resistance, hey, maybe you killed him only thanks to those Necroserpents. But realistically, while these guys are rocking some protection being one of the statues, and not completely awful stat, what drags them down is size 6. You get only 1 of them per tile. It's just really bad. It's very low attack density. That's not highly damaging. They don't have good enough stats to survive fighting 1-on-3, essentially, if you run to square of 3 of anything, really. If they were size 5, yeah, I think they have place, because 60 gold, really? You could get 3 of your regular Tomb Guard. These guys, 3 of them. You know what 3 of these guys do? They absolutely kill one of these, easily. So yeah, I don't like them. When Rider or Mount dies, they come back, of course, and you can recruit them for half the price. But I still think it's wasted money. I really try to make use of them. Sending them kind of like cavalry into some units that I would expect them to do poorly. They do. I would expect them to do well, but no, they do poorly. Just the attack density. The size 6 is just dragging them down massively. I just don't think it's worth gold investment. And then you have limit of 3 per turn per fort with those requirements. You're not gonna be getting many of them. Fortunately, actually, you know, I'm glad there's that limit, because even if somebody was stubborn enough to try and get them, you are not going to screw yourself completely by getting many of them thanks to this limit. They're just too expensive for what they do, or just not good enough for this price. Again, size 5, if they had size 5, maybe there's some usability for them. Size 6, absolutely not. But yeah, just to look at the snake a little bit quickly, you know, since it's one of the statues you can start getting pretty early, that's kind of the team where you have higher protection, and you come with slash and pierce resistances, no blunt, you know, and magic beings, which generally is, it's a downside, right? So that's the first statue. I'm not gonna jump to... okay, fine. I'm gonna jump to another statue in that case, and we'll leave Sacred's last. So now, Sepulchre Stalkers. Requirement Dominance 6, Temple, Lab, and a Waste. They show up only in a province that's Waste. So even bigger requirements. But now this is a good statue. They suffer size 6 again, which is awful. But since they are not cavalry type, you just send them behind your troops in general, since they have ranged attack. I will talk about in a second. They at least can intertwine with your foot soldiers, where you have them and probably like your Tomb Guard with glaive or Tomb Guard with spear or something like that in the same tile. So they're not like flankers kind of thing, like you would like to use possibly the necro knights. But yeah, what's the deal with them? Why they are good? So they wear a little bit of armor while being a statue, while not super armored by default, only 12 prot. Yeah, we're jumping to 18 body and 20 head. That's solid. That's respectable armor value. It's like low heavy armor values. 30 hit points, which is decent. Stats, kinda terrible. It's basically militia, attack and defense wise. But with those terrible stats, they have blank 4 Tomb Glaive, which smacks for 30. Or rather, it's the same weapon that the Tomb Guard wields. It just because it's size 6 guy, it gets the extra length. And yeah, they're relatively strong. So smacking for 30 damage, yeah, we're talking. It needs to land. And you know, the density part comes into play, where with that attack value, you really want to harass somebody down to actually land a hit. And if this is something that has high defense value, or maybe it's Noblesse, it's Sacred Cavalry, it's gonna have trouble reaching, but when it reaches, it hits hard. But why are these guys actually so good? It's Sepulchral Gaze. This is a limited ammunition for attack that has essentially perfect precision, being attack 22 value with range 15. I'm pretty sure you almost can't miss with it. It's armor negating attack that's magic resistant negates, but it's armor negating 8 damage. Very strong. And it comes with extra effect on damage, which is Petrify. So with sufficient number of these guys throwing those gazes, you are not unlikely to petrify even some sort of super combatant dog. When they're petrified, they cannot do anything. They'll be just getting walloped, having 0 defense, so we'll be getting crits as well. And if they fail a roll of getting out of petrified, they just straight out die. So the ammunition is pretty limited. But if you manage to amass enough of them, they just pose really big threat for thugs, super combatants, or just in general, they're great in dealing with some sort of elites in any army scenarios. Some elites might even have pretty low magic resistance, and perfect thing to take care of them. But because they are limited recruitment too, and yeah, they're very expensive. 75 gold, 50 years, that's a ton. That's so much. But I think it's worth it. It's just limited recruitment too, and yeah, it's missing here. But besides hefty requirements, Domain 6 is a lot to have. It has to be a waste. So don't expect to be recruiting too many of them. Definitely not in the early game. And maybe in the middle of a game. When you start terraforming provinces having dev scales, their production might increase. But they're also a national summon, I'm just gonna spoil it now. So you have other means of getting decent number of them. Yeah, they're good in what they do. They can be excellent against some particular scenarios, but they can also be quite worthless against others. So they're not a crutch unit to take care of all of your problems. I'm gonna mention it now. You don't start by default on waste. So when you are hosting a game or somebody is hosting a game and you join it, it would be very nice to get a start on waste, to be thematic. It is, why is it advantage for you? Well, first of all, you are not gonna terraform your capital from plains or whatever other type you might get into the waste, which results in loss of like 8,000, 9,000 population on your capital. I think it can reach up to those numbers, which is just horrible. It's multiple turns, like probably 20 turns of death 5 in your scenario to normally lose that much pop, if not more. Honestly, it's so much. And yeah, you terraform your capital into waste, and only then you can start recruiting stalkers. If you start with waste on your capital, you can start getting stalkers pretty quickly. You know, it still depends on how fast you get to Dominion 6. And you don't get the horrible terraforming event. So yeah, just a hint for anybody wanting to play Nehekhara in a multiplayer game. Try to get a host to set up spawn for you so you start on waste would be quite nice bonus for you. But yeah, that's the unit. So yeah, half of the rooster is next to useless, maybe besides lance catching. A couple useful types, couple useless cavalry, couple excellent cavalry in form of tramplers, another useless thing, and you have sacreds. One sacred is useless. There we go, Asp Archer. Ranged sacreds don't work in Dominions. You cannot make blesses that work for them. Simply yes. Unless maybe they were foreign recruit sacred, so you can get them in your other forts, but that's not the case with these guys. Like they come with magic damage bow that's slightly better with damage of 14, I guess. This looks around the. Actually, hold on, it's 8, and this thing is how much? Oh no, it's literally the same. It's just magical damage and the bonus of strong poison on damage. Woohoo! Wow, crazy. 26 gold. This is a joke unit. It just doesn't. It's not gonna talk about it anymore. It's terrible. What's not terrible are the email guys. Guardians of Petra. I really like them. 35 gold. 35 gold for 10 HP. Oh boy. But they come with decent stats. Probably the best stat line out of all your infantry by default, since they're like the most elite. But same garbage armor. Same decentish shield. What's good about them? Well, they're sacred. They have Formation Fighter, and they have Spear of Petra, which, while having just terrible damage value by default, has the Fire of Petra bonus on damage, armor piercing 8 fire damage with double the multiplier against undead and demons. It's very good. If you poke that heavily armored unit, you actually have a good chance to scorch it quite heavily with halving value of 8 armor. I mean, that's why fire arrows are good. You don't deal that much damage with it, but rolling the dice with armor piercing, yeah, it cuts through. It cuts through. And bonus against undead and demons, super welcome to see. Against Vampiria, against Nagashizar, it's gonna hit quite hard. Unless, you know, their sacred might have fire resistance in their bless, sure, but you know, you can't plan for everything. But yeah, it's a useful effect to help you kill something after wounding with basic attack. Even like regular things, you know, they might survive just getting poked, but then the fire scorches them, so it's awesome. Yeah, these guys are nice. They also have Sun O1. While not being like amazing it helps you against indies. It helps you against like some low morale things. it's just nice to have. But since you are Undead Nation with Spirit Sight, you're probably gonna be throwing Darkness later on, so this thing completely goes out of a window then. But not like it would really matter for those late game fights. Really, let's be honest. But yeah, decent sacreds, I guess. I mean, if they weren't undead, so they cost no upkeep, and if they were on any other nation, I probably would call them terrible. Okay, maybe not terrible, that's a bit much. Not good, but they are very good for you. They're like your best infantry, essentially, right? If you make a solid blitz for them, doubly so. I like them. I like playing heavily blessed Nehekhara. So yeah, these guys are a big part of the builds I like to play. And yeah, Dominant 4 to recruit again, together with your best infantry. Commanders. Let's see. You have scouts. Your scouts are mounted, and they have map move of 26. That's really good. And they have no upkeep, so while being a little bit more expensive than normal scouts, that's really good. You can also recruit them in foreign provinces, as long as there is your Dominion present. So yeah, no, that's an excellent scout. Probably one of the better scouts compared to other nations. If you have gold, because you might have troubles with gold depending on your build, consider how expensive your troops are to recruit. Yeah, absolutely, be getting them, send them in the world, see what's happening. Yeah, not much to say besides that. Your basic leader that you start with, and the one that's your PD protector, is Tomb Herald. Yeah, now we're starting to see some team with Tomb Kings where their leader are strong-ish. 20 hit points, with again kind of weak protection, but has little bit of nut. But has Tomb Copper, so built-in magical weapon with good-ish stats, and he's sacred. So while he's not the priest himself, in the scenario we have priest open, like whether it's your fort defense, you get acolyte at PD 20 plus. So there's a mage in your province defense of forts that can bless him, bless some secrets you might be patrolling with, or cast some little spells. Yeah, these guys can actually put up a little bit of a fight if you have strong bless. So yeah, solid leader, 70 undead leadership, but they cannot use formations. But it's perfectly serviceable, right, for what it is. Recruitment points 1, 2. I don't really recruit them, because there are just better things to get for leaders in your forts. But if I really need somebody to fare some undead around, maybe I'll get them, but yeah, he's serviceable. And only requires Dominion 2 to recruit, right? So your next two in order leader. Let's cover like leaders first, not mages. It's a Tomb Prince on foot. So Tomb Prince on foot, I think I've never recruited him actually, but he's not bad. It's 130 gold for pretty chunky chassis with decent stats. Slightly better armor. We're talking royal armor now, so his body protection jumps to 18. It's not bad. He's dual wielding magical weapons, Tomb Kopesh and Royal Scepter. Yep, respectable attack and damage values. Now, this is your first proper mummy. What it means is you cannot go underwater with the mummy type commanders, and you come with hefty fire vulnerability of 10. The other thing that mummies for Tomb Kings have is Death Curse on Attacker, but also Dominion Immortality. In case of Princes, it's whopping 9 months, so it's gonna take forever to come back to life, but at least they come back to life if they died in your Dominion. So it's nice little thing. Now, he's good, he's solid, you know, not bad, but why didn't I never recruit him? Because the guy on Chariot exists, and it's a guy on Chariot for 10 more gold and more resources. You get Chariot, you can slap a proper barding on it, so it actually has good protection. It's a nice chunk of hit points. He comes with Tombglaive, which has finally lowered attack value because it's a two-handed weapon on a mounted unit, but it's good. I like it. He's gonna get stars pretty quickly if you're gonna be using him for combat anyways. Getting that attack value up. But yeah, he's just more mobile. He gets that extra 2 points of movement compared to the guy on feet. And it's a chariot. It's a chariot commander, and the chariot is size 7, so it's a little bit bigger than your recruitment chariots. And it matters because a lot of things that are accessible for many nations are actually like size 6 to stop your chariots. So he can still be trampling them. Yeah, I like them. I like using them. I was actually on the fence for a really long time with them. I actually probably even disliked them before, but in the game I'm currently playing still, I am getting decent number of them, mainly to be patrolling forts or ferrying troops, and yeah, I enjoy them. They come with 100 leadership that can use formations, but they also have a little bit of magic leadership, and magic leadership is what you need to move your statues around, and it's actually kind of limited value for you because your normal mages don't have it, but we'll get there. So yeah, no, I like Tomb Princes. Also, Dominion Immortality 9 months, so if they die defending your one of your provinces, they will come back eventually, unless you're dead, of course, in general. So yeah, cool unit, cool commander. And they are any fort recruitment, right? So you can be getting in them anywhere. When you get 4 Dominion Plus, of course. These guys as well. These are plus 2+. So, you know, that's kind of the thing where you really need commander, but you don't have Dominion 4+ in a fort. That's why you get them. Tomb Kings. Tomb Kings. Capital exclusive recruitment point 4. Now that's where the strong priest part comes into the play, where they are wholly free, so they can cast divine blessings, but they also have access to a variety of your unique national spells I'll mention later. But no, these guys are quite strong. We're talking hefty 300 gold, but good hit points, great stats, good weapon, very good weapon. 9 damage, 2/2. That's really strong weapon. And unique thing called Grasp of the King. It's armor piercing attack that decays. Kinda a unique thing to deal with thugs, super combatants, titans. If somebody runs into a titan into you, or you run into enemy titan, you can actually potentially kill them with something like that. You know, armor piercing and decay. They have same armor as the princes, so it doesn't really give you amazing protection, but because they're Tomb Kings, they got a little bit better embalming into their undeath, so their natural protection goes up. What's the differences as well compared to princes? Well, they come with blood vengeance. You know, it's something. Sometimes it can matter, right? But also better Dominion Immortality. So it's only 5 months now. It's still not short, but 9 months and 5 months, it's night and day difference. The main thing, you cannot preach. Remember, you cannot preach with Holy Phrase. Okay, so don't be getting them in hopes of that. Why? Because they're undead. That's why. You cannot preach with undead. I really like them. But I don't really get these guys either. Why do I not get them? Because the guys on chariots exist. They're slightly more expensive, again, on gold and resources wise, but it's not that much of a difference. Essentially, everything is the same here, but they come with a chariot. It's the exactly same chariot that the prince has. Literally the same one. So once you slap a good barding on it, yeah, it's really good. It's a really good mount. Really good chariot. Honestly, not much to say about them besides what I said about the normal Tomb Kings, but they have a chariot. Okay, to be fair, sometimes you don't want chariots, okay? If you want to have like an army thug that stays in line with your troops, you'd rather have the guy on feet. So he stays in line, doesn't punch himself into enemy line, just gets surrounded and cut into pieces by corn berserkers or something like that. because that's often the fate of any chariot. But you know, slightly increased mobility can matter, and just chariots are just so powerful against certain type of troops. You might always get these guys as well. And remember, when the chariot dies, you still have this guy essentially, right? The normal Tomb King on foot, so you can use him then that way, or you can reacquire the mount. Just more hit points that way as well, right? In one unit. Both of them require Dominion 6 to recruit, so you know, being cap only recruitment, the cap is going to be first province you're gonna get to Dominion 6. Not a bad purchase for sure. Recruitment points 4, of course, so it's going to be a 2-turner, but it's tapped with Citadel, so free commander points, free recruitment points for commanders. You can get one every 2 turns, and then if you're like trying to mass them, you know, get one extra eventually. But let's get into the mages. Acolytes, your most basic Dominion 1 guys. You'll be getting a lot of them. Why? Because you just don't have Dominion to get stronger mages often. It's just how the nation works. It struggles with the Dominion recruitment. It really struggles with it. So yeah, but yeah, let's get back to Acolytes. Solid Mage, it's Def 1. Def 1 is, it's something. Comes with 4 paths as a random. The main one you're looking for is Astral for Communions. And the other ones are mainly for some basic crafting, essentially. You cannot do particularly much with one in either of them. So they are there to research, they are there to bless raiding parties, move around maybe a small number of troops. See, they have, that's on purpose, by the way, Sombre did on purpose. They on purpose cannot carry the statues with them. But what's the neat thing about these guys? They are half demons, half undead. So honestly, this is just really bad perk in general, because you kind of get fucked by both undead and demon countering spells. But why is it important for you? Because you can actually preach with them, right? The part undead, part demon thing allows you to preach. So essentially, what you have to do, it's not something to negotiate with Nehekhara, is you recruit Acolyte in your capital, turn 1, you immediately profit him, and you start preaching your capital, so you can start getting your good troops. Depending on your RNG, it can be turn 4 recruitment or turn 7 recruitment when you start to get to Dominion 4. Unless, of course, you get Awake God. It's gonna be much faster, but you know, I'll talk about it later. But yeah, you recruit, profit, and start preaching with Acolytes. I believe Sombre, if he hasn't made that change yet, I think he will make that change where you are gonna start with 1 Lich Acolyte, which is great. It speeds up the process of getting into the stuff that actually can do anything, because I'm sorry, you cannot beat any nation with these guys. You are dead if anybody attacks you. You're just dead. You need better stuff. So yeah, you're gonna have slightly better timing to start recruiting useful things in your capital. But yeah, mainly research monkeys, mainly commune slaves, maybe commune masters too if you want to have one with just like Death and Astral cross Puppy Master, sure. And yeah, they're also essentially mummies, so but slightly less bad mummies than the Tomb Kings as far as the vulnerability to fire. Yeah, only 5 instead of 10. Yeah, cool. That's your most basic research monkeys that you can be getting anywhere. Lich Priests, now, bam, from Dominion 1, Dominion 4, right? So you can see the problem when you are fighting somebody, when you are taking their forts, ideally. It's gonna take a really long time to make those forts recruit anything but Lich Acolytes and having access to your garbage troops. You have to be preaching, you have to slap a temple, blah blah blah, right? But yeah, Lich Priest. super expensive, 320 gold. For a mage that's passable. Death 2, it gives you access to Horde of Skeletons eventually. Holy 2, so better priest as well. Sadly not Inquisitor though. And they have 2 random paths. So, you know, we're talking some diversity now. Where you get 2s in 1, you can get Astral 1 and 1 into any of these, so that opens up a master potential for a priest like that. Or in general, they're just more likely to have at least single point of Astral, so they can also be just more accessible slaves, because they're also 2 recruitment points, just like the priest. But again, the problem is they have 320 gold is a lot. It's really expensive mage for 4 paths out of, you know, and 2 of them are just RNG. So yeah, I'm not super fond of Lich Priest. They have their uses for sure. But for research, yeah, acolytes, right? And some scenarios where maybe you want to, when you're like super rich and whatnot, yeah, Lich Priests are there for you. Of course, more recruitment points, effective and efficient for research they provide, and for just being better mage. Thing I didn't mention about Lich Acolyte, both Lich Acolyte and Priest have Corpse Teachers. Amazing. Super cool ability, helps you patch up your troops, that's undead, but that includes your Sacreds, your Tomb Guard, and themselves and all of your commanders. So you have a means to heal the wounds that are inflicted to you through conflict. Tragically, your statues do not have it, right? And you know, maybe I should have talked about summons before moving to commanders, but forgive me the order, okay? But yeah, Corpse Teacher helps your undead, doesn't help your statues. Cool thing. Now, Necrotects. Obscenely expensive, 350 gold is a ton, not a priest, Death 2, Earth 2, so both of these very useful paths to have in those values. Again, this is Horde of Skeletons essentially. With Gem could cast something up to the 3. And Earth 2, enough to get Earth power to Earth 3. And we're talking various buffs, point buffs, some Earth evos, I guess, but it's mainly for buffing and constructing some things, sure. What's special about Necrotects though? These are the guys that you can recruit every turn, being recruitment points too, that do have magic leadership. So they are like the main guys to ferry your statues with, considering their values. They also have special spells that target your statues as well. About them later on. They come with resource bonus. They can turn your forts into citadels. They're mummies again, fire 5 vulnerability, and siege bonus of 15. So they're actually very, very, very good guys to include for your sieging armies. Like, you are getting, like, let's say 10 Necrotects by your first war. Bam, 160 siege strength out of it. You can crack fort so quickly if you commit your mages into it. And you want to commit your mages into it, because you want them to be present, to be buffing your statues, right? Whip is useless weapon. Yeah, fragile for what they are, with that incredibly high price. But yeah, absolutely necessary mages to run your nation. Again, Dominion 4. Finally, your cap exclusive Lich High Priest. Dominion 6 to recruit, slow to recruit, expensive, but not that expensive if we consider you have, you know, you get one every other turn, essentially. Death 3. Now we're talking. Death 3 opens up a lot more spells if you include gems. They have Fire 1, Cross Buff 2, that there are some interesting spells to cross buff between Fire and Death. They're Holy 2s. That's kind of weird to me. The normal Priest is Holy 2, and these guys are Holy 3. Holy 2 as well. I think they could be Holy 3, honestly. They're High Priest after all, right? And that would help you so much with the main problem you have as Nehekhara, which is your fucking Dominion. Like, trust me, this is really frustrating part about the nation, the Dominion requirement for recruitment. Because there's just plethora of events that reduce your Dominion, and you have to constantly fight Dominions of other players. No nation suffers from Dominion issues as much as Nehekhara. I can't think of it. Like, yeah, Chaos nations do have some Dominion requirements to recruit, but it's only in the capital. And this one is anywhere. Like, every fort, every province requires Dominion to recruit better stuff. So yeah, could be wholly free in my opinion, but you know, they're fine. They come with same random paths as the priest, but the difference is, besides being cap only and solid to recruit, you get extra death and extra fire built in. Very good deal considering it's 70 gold difference for extra 2 paths, and be slower to recruit cap only. So yeah, no. If I'm recruiting stuff in my capital, after, you know, the initial expansion, I almost exclusively keep on making high priests, just so I get the variety of cross paths with them, and have as many death frees as I can. Good guys, they don't have the corpse teacher because fixing undead is beneath them. Well, look guys, if you're such a fancy priest that you don't work on your people, how about you have holy free at least, right? But yeah, can't lead statues once again. Yeah, I mean, solid for the pubs they provide. They'll be your main masters, essentially, as well. Giving you big death spells like, you know, Darkness, Rigor Mortis. You know, just spamming a lot of skeletons, summoning some things. They're also the priest that you require to summon one of your unique statues. So yeah, cool. Summons. Now, if we look at Nehekhara the way it is here, let's face it, they're kinda bad, okay? Their troops are not good. Expensive. The ones that are good are heavily limited and easy to counter in form of chariots. You can counter chariots quite easily if you know what you're doing. Commanders, pretty good. Can thug, especially when geared. Mages, good mages. Horde of skeletons, you can do Horde of skeletons. It's the staple of every death nation. But you are still kinda weak. What saves you are your statues. And your statues are being your summons. And this is a mixed bag, alright? Like, some of them are good or very good, and some of them are terrible. So let's start from the first one, Necropolis Knights. You can summon them with your death gems. Don't ever do it. It's terrible. It's a terrible idea. Don't waste your death gems on them. Okay? Forget you can summon them. Awful. Bye. Ushabti. I love Ushabti. Ushabti are awesome. The sprites, I think, Tomb King sprites in general, Sombre outdid himself. I love them. Look at the sprite. It's so good. Yeah, Ushabti are amazing. Size 5, so you get 2 of them per square, 24 hit points, good protection, good magic resistance, perfect morale, of course, the resistances. Stats, nothing fancy stat-wise, but does the trick, right? And you have 3 variants of them. The best ones, which are the dual wielding. By the way, they do wear armor, so you can buff it with legions of steel and stuff like that. So while they don't benefit as much from not protection buffing spells like iron skin and whatnot, you know, you can still bring it up to 20 and then bump up the body protection. So we are talking in a realm of 26-ish protection, 27-ish, which is solid with buffs. So yeah, these are the best ones because dual wielding. These are really good ones as well because Doomglaive smacks really hard. And these are the bad ones, the Ushabti with bows. Okay, why are they bad? Because, like, sorry, you kind of say they're bad and you look at it, oh, I mean, wow, the Kopesh. The Kopesh is still a good melee weapon. Actually, it kind of happens, that change happened recently. Since I was really trying to convince Sombre to make certain change to this type of Ushapti, but he doesn't budge. I will get him, hopefully one day. And the bow of Pact? I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. Like, I think, like the Guardians of Petra, but I don't know. Pact. It might be Pact or something like that. It's super good bow. 14 damage, range 50, magical damage. Really good bow. Why are they bad and these guys are good? Well, back in the day, in Dominions 5, you could have recruited Ushapti in your forts as well. It was a limited recruitment, if I remember correctly. Or maybe it wasn't even. But I want to say it was limited recruitment, but like you essentially had Tomb Kings always recruit them because of how good Ushapti are. And Sombre didn't like it. I personally don't agree with his decision to completely remove recruitment of Ushapti from Nehekhara. You know, you still see the legacy price and resource cost that they used to have, right? I think this really forces Nehekhara into playing heavy blast, or at least like medium to heavy blast, instead of going harder on scales. Because if you go hard on scales, I'm sorry, like your basic roster, like we discussed, it's just not good enough. I don't think it's good enough to face against many nations of the mod. And you have to rely on your summon. So they're all limited to gems besides the stalkers, which you can get 2 of in with those super hefty requirements of Dominion, Temple, Lab, Waste. Yeah, you're not going to be having many of them recruited anyway. So I would like to see Ushapti brought back to recruitment in a limited number. I'm not sure how to limit their numbers though. Like, what would be reasonable? Would it be 2 of each type? Maybe 2 Ushapti, the Jackal, 2 Crocodile, and 4 Hawk. Right, because I still haven't said why the Hawk ones are bad. So they all 3 of those share the same summoning spell. So when you summon Ushapti, you are casting a spell that costs 12 gems, 12 Earth gems, and it gives you 4 Ushapti, which is solid value. It's 3 gems per Ushapti. I like it. It's a good value. It's not like excessively good. Like it's you're not summoning some demons, some sacred demons like Hinnom or I don't know, like what else? Like Mictlan. You're not getting those crazy national sacred summons with Ushapti. But when you're getting these, you are happy. If you're getting Hawk Ushapti, you're not happy. 3 Earth Gems for bow. It's not good. Why? Like, for ranged weapons to work in Dominions, you have to have quantity. Like, quality is nice, sure, but it's also quantity. You are gonna be missing majority of your shots. It's pure saturation of field that makes ranged weapons do actually something. And you cannot possibly mass Hawk Ushapti to the point where they can be a deciding factor of any fight, or a factor that just does something. You just can't. You can't. It's RNG. You are rolling between those 3 types. What I was trying to convince Sombre to do is, let's split them into 2 separate spells where you get either random melee guys, and you have the other spell that's slightly better like body value, where let's say it's also 12 gems, but instead of 4 you get maybe 6. Might be too good. Maybe make it, you can, for 15 gems you get 5, you know, something like that. It keeps the cost per individual the same, makes it slightly more efficient to summon number wise, but you can actually make a choice of massing them, right? Where you focus on getting as many bosses as possible so they matter. Like, uh, it, am I wrong here? Like, I think I played Dominions for so many years now, where I don't want to be so adamant and stubborn about my opinion for them, for this particular unit or ranged in general, but my belief is if you want ranged to do something, you have to have enough of them to actually be hitting reasonably well. And you just cannot do it with Hokushapti the way they are, the way you're summoning them. You cannot recruit them. Yeah, so like I love Ushapti for what they are, for the 6 sprites, but I don't summon them because of that RNG with Hokushapti. It's a deal breaker to me, and I'd love to see them recruitable so you have that little bit extra means of getting some of them. Yeah, it's a shame. I really like them. And you could say, okay, but they are your earth dump. Yeah, they're my earth dump, but there's a better earth dump, which for some reason is not here apparently. Oh, they're missing. So you can also summon stalkers. Let's talk about that. So for 12 gems as well, you get 3 of them. So it's 4 gems per stalker. It's a solid deal, right? 4 gems, 30 hit points. It's you're not really, there are way more efficient ways of spending gems for sheer bulk of hit points and buying time and stalling or luring evocations and whatnot, but you at least perfectly know what you're getting. You are getting stalkers. You're not rolling a dice between Ushapti. You have that gaze, right? You have big hitting weapon. You have the low attack density because of size 6. That's why Ushapti are also so nice. Is that size 5? You are getting actually 2 of them per square. Like the Ushapti would just shit on the stalkers in melee. Like absolutely. They're way better melee combatants than stalkers. Like a 10 attack, 30, a 10-10, right? And if you look at the crocodile, he already hits better for the same damage. He has a little bit less hit points, but you're going to have in real fight 2 of them per tile compared to 1 stalker, right? So, but yeah, just because you know what you're getting, I much rather summon stalkers with my earth gems than Ushapti. In a very late game where I'm just swimming in earth gems, where I have just means of doing it, maybe then I'm just starting to spam Ushapti, okay? I don't know how viable it is that late in the game, because of course then suddenly spells that counter magic beings and statues being inanimate come into play much more frequently. But yeah, maybe then I would be doing that. So for your earth summons, it's Ushapti or Stalkers, and then final national summon that you get for earth, let's just jump past couple, is Sphinxes. Oh, Sphinxes. I love them in Dominion 5, and I don't like them in Dominion 6. Why? Because of the new system in Dominion 6. I'm saying new. This game is like, what, 2 years old already, basically? And I'm still calling it a new. Now, Sombre decided to use a new system for them where there's the Sphinx is a mount and he has riders on top. He doesn't use it for everything. He's not consistent. He has his arguments for it. Like, Vampiria, for example, has Hex Raves, which are one and being guy on a spirit horse, and it's like one thing. Or let's see. Trying to think. There's like a Green Knight kind of summer story. There are a couple instances where he makes an exception. That something looks like it could be multiple entities using the mount system, but he's not doing it for the worst things. And it's a problem, because if you look at the worst things himself, it's 25 earth gems, by the way, to someone who's good. This guy, so very expensive. Stats kinda whatever, right? But we're talking 80 hit points, size 10. Okay, so he's gonna block your fattest tramplers, your earth mummy, whatever else. 25 protection without armor. I think for consistency's sake and for making them slightly better still, I think they could have like, I don't know, worse things barding, something like that. Like 3 armor, 4 armor, something like that. That could also be buffed by Legions of Steel. Like Sombre recently did run through all the nations, and anything that's basically like a naked dude, or yeah, basically, they're getting like cloth armor piece, which is like 2 protection. But it matters because it's something that can be hit by Legions of Steel. So I think it could be neat if they also had it. It would bring their protection maybe up to 30 if it got hit by Legions of Steel, potentially, something like that. I don't think this is game breaking. Kind of makes sense. They look like they're wearing some ornaments too, on top of being statue. But it's not a big deal. I'm kind of going aside the talking about the unit itself, but yeah, what are you getting, right? So big hit points, big size, big protection, good magic resistance, of course, perfect morale since statues, pretty fast, good map move. Causes fear, only fear 5, which is weird to me. Like there are some things that have fear 8 and they're less ways, I think less scary than this, but it's fine, it's still fear effect, that's what matters. Standard resistances. He has some fire resistance now. And the attacks. A bite, a claw. Now this is the good attack. Sickle tail. It's a defense negate, but it's area of effect 1, so you can actually be cleaving a tiles. And a fire breath, which can happen. Yeah, can be used in melee sometimes. Uses fatigue, so that's good. You don't run out of ammo. You just fatigue out. But I do like this change in general. The one that, you know, built into the chassis attacks of breaths and types don't have ammo. It's kind of silly. It uses fatigue. So yeah, a very good breath attack. A ton of damage on it. So the War Sphinx itself is very good. But I'm also not really recruiting them, or rather not summoning them, because of these guys. So he has three Tomb Guard on him essentially. The 2 of them are almost identical to the ones you can recruit, with the difference of having extra fire resistance of 10. I think that's the only difference, right? Protection 11. Yeah. So they get fire resistant 10 because what happened is they often died from their own War Sphinx breathing, right? So they've got 10. It's not 15, it's 10. But it helps, alright? Besides that, it's normal Tomb Guard, so very squishy. And the guy that leads the mount is slightly stronger, slightly buffed. Tomb Guard essentially has 15 hit points instead, slightly more protection. He has Invul 12, 10 fire protection. Yeah, so slightly tougher, essentially. Guess what? It doesn't really matter. Because what couldn't kill them before still can't kill them. Like, you know, if they cannot be reached by some infantry guys. I guess some fire effects will not be killing them as easy, like falling fires and whatnot, but the hard hitting ones will. And what's gonna be also getting them? Any anti-undead spell that wouldn't be hitting statues otherwise. So dust to dust, punishments. Yeah, they have yes, buffed up magic resistance, but it's gonna go through eventually. So what happens with War Sphinx is the charioteer dies most often. Like, of course, there are things like Shatter that absolutely will crush your statues. Right? If you're going up against Earth Nation, remember about risk of Shatter. Shatter will just fuck your statues up, like they're just vaporizing to it. But this guy will die in proper battle with spell swinging. He's gonna get dust to dusted, some pillar of fire, some big unit actually reaching up and swinging, cutting the guy down. You know, they will be dying. And when they die, and the Sphinx survives, no, it doesn't survive. It dies also because it doesn't have its it's I'm trying not to say charioteer, but you know, the guy leading the Sphinx. So, and because it's a summon, there's nothing that that you know gives you back some value, like with normal mounts when they can come back to the fort they were recruited in and you get them back in half the price. No, the Sphinx dies if this guy dies. Having 25 Earth Gems tied to this asshole is just, it's a gamble, alright? Like, you can make amazing use of War Sphinxes against certain nations if you know you cannot be easily countered through anti-undead spells that will target him. Again, why am I so confident about it? Because this is still a tile that has 3 Tomb Guard on it, plus this one is like extra healthy, and the targeting often works against density, right? Like HP density. So the tile of War Sphinx with 3 Tomb Guard on top is more attractive to be targeted with like dust to dust than tile of the regular Tomb Guard. So yeah, they will get smoked by anti-undead spell easily. And yeah, your War Sphinx will fight. He will fight the rest of the fight, but then it's dead. So yeah, that's why the Earth Gems kind of mainly come down to Stalkers. I'm sorry, like they're just most reliable use. I do get worse things sometimes if I have the Earth Gems, and you know I would consider getting Ushapti, especially because Ushapti are your first breaking point in research to summon, followed by Stalkers and then Sphinxes in different schools. I'll show you the unique spells later. But yeah, that's the Earth summons. Now for your Death summons, yeah, forget these guys exist. Carrions, I don't really get them, but they're not bad. You can spend some gems for an interesting sacred flyer with some patrol bonus. By the way, Stalkers also have patrol bonus. That's why they're quite nice. Yeah, you know, you can fly them, attack rear, maybe raid. You don't really have commander tied to them. If there was like maybe Carrion commander you could get that would lead those around, that would be interesting for some raiding. But yes, it is. It's something. It's a sacred that you can summon. Big size, good hit points. I don't really get them personally, but they're not bad. You know, I'm sure you can make use of them if you have some plans. But, let's get to your best national summon, Tomb Scorpions. Each of them costs 6 Death Gems, alright? So let's compare them to something else, alright? Just let's whip them out. I'm sorry, I forgot to prepare myself prior to it, so just give me a second as I look at the browser, but you can recognize the sprite. Like, what does the sprite look to you like? They are essentially the Xibalban Scorpions, but with extra just with being, you know, obsidian and a little bit gold and cool skull on top of. But they are essentially the sacred scorpions of Xibalba, right? With some differences. Okay, so let's talk about them themselves. So 6 Death Gems to summon. For 40 hit points, okay. Size, this cursed size 6. Nice protection of 19. But again, nothing on armor slots. Okay, again, decent stats, big strength. Good magic resistance, fast. Again, no limited recruitment. They used to be recruitable back in the day. Good times. 2 Tomb Pincers and a Tail Sting. So, let's talk about Tail Sting. So, hard hitting, so it will be damaging often, and it's a death poison. Death poison is awesome. Like, you hardly anything can resist this much poison into it. It usually requires an item, right? For any commanders like a Snake Ring. So it does have potential of killing things through a means, you know, you would otherwise have a problem with. You can just poison them to death. But Tomb Pincers, and a fun story about the Tomb Pincers, they used to be slashing. They used to be slashing damage, and they were better then. I talked to Sombre about the Scorpions, and I was trying to convince him to make them more in line with how pincers work in Dominions. So if you look at any unit in Dominions, literally every unit in Dominions that has pincers, it is untyped armor-piercing damage. But the pincers for Scorpions, they were slashing. No, not armor-piercing, just slashing. They're also magical, which is awesome. And the result of me talking with Sombre is he made them untyped. But not armor piercing. Which made them worse, essentially. So this is less damage against most of the things because it doesn't get buff of slashing. In a late game, it's massively worse because you cannot put armor piercing through weapons of sharpness on it now because it's untyped damage. And the niche scenario where it's better is when you run into somebody that has resistances against slashing, piercing, and blunt. And it's like, for example, too early to have armor piercing through magic means, right? Fuck it. Sorry. Like, that's kind of... I'm a little bit salty about it. Again, I don't have like super investment into Nehekhara as a nation like I do have with dwarves because dwarves are my favorite, so I'm like very biased with dwarves and I admit my bias. But with Nehekhara, I don't think I have, like, I like the nation, but I don't think I'm particularly biased towards them. Like, they're cool. They're not my favorite nation, but yeah, they're fun to play. And like objectively speaking, I think Sombre did Scorpions dirty by this change. Because let's look at the other sacred that I'm talking about that exists in the game, base game, Sacred Scorpions of Xibalba. Right? Here they are. What's the difference? 8 more hit points, okay. 1 size more, only 2 protection less, quite a lot of magic rest less, but you know it kind of matters because. Matters less because the Tomb Scorpions are magic beings, so if they also had low magical resistance, you know, people would be just taking control of them left and right? Morale is a big difference, but 15 is very good starting morale, and you can easily get to 20s with Sacred Scorpions. Attack better on Sacred Scorpions. Yeah, the strength difference comes to that damage difference, but Scorpion Tail is essentially also the same poison, death poison thing. Okay, but look at the pincers. The pincers of Sacred Scorpion are armor piercing, untyped damage, okay? And again, it's still a sacred unit. That's an animal, that's undisciplined, but you have means of getting around all those things quite easily with Xibalba. You know, you could argue that one-on-one Tomb Scorpion is still better. I don't agree. I'm 99% sure the Sacred Scorpion beats Tomb Scorpion because the pincers are armor piercing, while the Tomb Scorpions are not. But what's the problem? The main problem we're coming down to. You know how many Scorpions? How much you pay for Sacred Scorpion? You pay 2 gems. You pay 2 Earth gems that are cast by Death 1, Earth 1 mage. While Tomb Scorpions you can summon only with your High Priest. So I know I'm kind of comparing to vanilla, but in my defense, Sombre often compares things in his mod to vanilla, and he tries to keep balance around the vanilla. So I have huge issue with Tomb Scorpions where there's a massive lack of consistency in how the thing is priced and how it works. I think if he wants to keep the cost of Tomb Scorpion at 6 dev gems for 1, cast only by your slow to recruit cap only mage, they should have armor piercing on their pincers. Simple as, right? Having that run out of the way, right? You get it, right? You get 3 Sacred Scorpions for price of 1 Tomb Scorpion, and one-on-one Sacred Scorpion will already beat Tomb Scorpion. And there are some niche scenarios where Sacred Scorpion's worse, where morale might come into play, where the lower magic rest might come into the play. and you know, maybe animal, being animal might come into play. Because stat-wise, slightly worse damage, but it's armor piercing, better hit points, better size. Size 7 is better than size 6 for various reasons. Like just getting trampled by size 7 unit, for example, or resisting some effects. And I guess it does have worse defense, alright? Just to be fair, it does have worse defense. Cool. And map move. Okay, fair enough. Sorry, I didn't mention those. But if we're speaking strictly combat-wise, one-on-one, Sacred Scorpion beats Tomb Scorpion, and you get 3 Sacred Scorpions for price of 1 Tomb Scorpion. Much more accessible as far as what mages can cast it. Right, okay, rant out of the way. I hate to get out of the system. You can disagree with me. If you do, write in the comment. Just, I hope you're gonna put an argument about it, right? Not just say you're wrong, haha, stuff like that. Regardless of that, they are still your best summon, essentially. Which kind of tells you about the Nehekhara, I guess. They are sacred, so if you make a strong bless, Tomb Scorpions will be your card carries. Like, dump your dev gems into them with strong bless, and they can beat a lot of nations on their back in their limited numbers. Personally, just putting it out now, I really like larger on Nehekhara, because not only it lowers the density of Guardians of Petra, so instead of 4 you have 3 per tile, which I think is in many cases it's actually better to get out of the formation with some units, like the limited ones in particular. You know, it's a sacred, you have a limited number of them, you want to stretch that line so you don't get wrapped around too easily. You get big buff to damage, +3 just from larger. You get bonus to move speed, you get bonus to hit points, and it's very important for Tomb Scorpions to get those more hit points, because they'll be fighting outnumbered, they'll be fighting squares of 3, often by themselves. Yeah, it lowers defense, not as big of a deal. So yeah, I like larger a lot. Enchanted Blood, of course, Undying, you know, stuff like that. It's just great for this nation. So yeah, that's the main dump for dev gems for you. Again, Carrions also cast dev gems. Now let's get to another 2 awful summons. Necroid Colossi, both of these. They suffer a similar thing as Ushapti. You don't decide which one you get. You get either one randomly. And they are 15 dev gems each. Like, I'm sorry. Do you want to spend 15 dev gems on this guy, or, you know, get 2 of them and a little bit extra? So you get 5 Tomb Scorpions for the price of 2 Necroid Colossi. And spoiler alert, Scorpions easily win that. Okay, so what are the redeeming factors of Colossi? So he's size 9, he's not even size 10. 70 hit points. It's not even that much. Big strength, so he hits for 30. Because it's the Kopesh, it's the one-handed Kopesh that your units have. So if he hits like your two-handed Ushapti or two-handed Tomb Prince, essentially. The protection is okay-ish. It can go up quite a bit up because he actually does have a little bit of ceremonial armor. So you buff it with Legions, you get up protection 220 with Iron Skin. We were talking about that up to 30-ish armor, right? Range. Bad stats. Low defense, so they'll be getting hit a lot on, because they are a big entity, you will not be sharing them with anything else, so they'll be harassed down. So yeah, they'll be getting hit constantly, that's why I need that protection. Attack skill, again, kinda whatever. 12 attacks, solid. So besides Tomb Compass, you get Stone Fist. Lowers your defense further. I mean, it's a smack. And you get the Giant Stomp, which can be negated by large or strong beings. And defense negates, but this is some means of AoE. I really don't like them. I think they serve no purpose in this nation. Like, if you want to get as much hit points for gem cost, you get Tomb Scorpions. Like, even if you have no bless, they're still better than that. Not to mention all the other things you can spend dev gems on. Whites. you can get whites out. And whites will do everything better than Colossi can. Yeah, there will not be one single strong entity, but they will certainly do killing way better and holding the line way better in general, and you'll be getting a lot more of them more efficiently. They have siege bonus, that's something. Okay, your necrotex can do it for you. They come with fear, so I guess that's one thing you can get out of them. They cause fear, sure, but the other problem I have with Colossi is that giants exist in the mod. So there are giants for Norska, sorry, not Norska, for orcs, both orcs flavor. There are giants for Jar Nagarund. There are giants for undead nations, the zombie giants. There are giants for beastmen, and all of those giants that I mentioned, they are recruitable. They have hefty gold price, but they're recruitable, making them way cheaper than 15 dev gems in general. And you know, they have different allocation of stat, but they are size 10 for starter, so they will like stop certain size 10 units. They have more hit points. In general, they have lower protection, with some exceptions where the giant for Jarnagrund, for example, has a massive iron helmet, so his protection on head is just like 24 or something funny like that. But you know, and they don't have magic weapon, sure, but they have better fear values. I think they tend to have 7 or 8 fear, and they have other attack. What's the other attack? It's a sweeping attack. All of them have sweeping attack, which is AoE 2 attacks. So they attack twice with AoE 2 or 3, something like that, right? Why doesn't Colossi have it? Like, why doesn't he have a sweep with Kopesh? I think if Colossi had a sweep with a Kopesh, I pitched it to Sombre, he doesn't agree with me, you know, he's right, it's his mod. But I'm pretty sure if these guys had a sweeping attack, where in a similar manner, it can be a little bit different, right? Because instead of swinging chains like some other giants have or something like that, or wild swings like orc or zombie giants have, they could have a Kopesh cleave, something like that, name it however you want. They always are, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's AoE 2, defense negates as well, and 2 attacks. So those giants are fantastic in those nations. I really like using giants for the nations that have them available, because it's just amazing in clearing chaff. And this thing just will get boggled down by chaff. It will often miss them. It's overkill often against things, and against things that you would want something hard hitting. He doesn't have stats. Like, it doesn't hit hard enough for one single entity to cleave through something. He doesn't have good enough stats to be hitting reliably. A lot of things that you want to cleave with big bad guys, it just will have too much defense for you to hit. So yeah, these guys serve no purpose. They just don't. If you want a block of hit points, you can be summoning various other constructs that are way cheaper, way more efficient in how much hit points you're getting. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like these guys. They don't serve purpose. They look cool. They look so cool. And again, and there's a thing. This is the better of the two, because you can get this fucker instead. A fucking bow of desert. I mean, yeah, length, range 50, 17 attack, damage whopping 40 damage with soul explosion that hits. All right, it's AOE, armor piercing, difficult to negate with magic resistant attack that doesn't hit friendly. I mean, super cool. Like, I'd love to be using that, but you know, I'm getting him 50-50 with the other guy for 15 gems. Like, how many of them can I get reasonably? Like, what, 5? 75 dev gems? How? Like, what are we talking about? Like, and he's not even gonna be hitting what I want him to hit. Like, with damage 40, you could actually possibly have him snipe some big bad guys like thugs, maybe super combatants even. He can damage them, but he will not be hitting. Simple as 17 precision with this range. Maybe later in the combat he'll gracefully walk up if AI decides to do so and shoot point blank. Maybe then he'll be hitting. Yeah, it's not a reasonable unit to count on doing anything. Like, if you summon, he'll score 3 kills in a battle of hundreds. Like, is it worth 15 gems? No, it's not. He can kind of defend himself in melee with Fist and Giant Stone. what I suggested Sombre to do is separate Archer from the melee guy, make him a little bit more attractive with efficiency of summoning, where you can get them a little bit cheaper and a little bit extra per summon. Because that's what you need with ranged guys. Alternatively, instead of trying to amass, because there's argument to make because there's like AoE tied to it. You don't want to go crazy with how many you can get. Fair enough. Alternatively, since these guys, they don't shoot like physical arrows. They fire souls basically, more or less. Make it perfect precision. Like make it 100 precision. Make it 50, like something like that. Like 100, I think is reasonable. Make it 80, something like that. Like even if it was 30 built in, right? 30 precision, we would go to 42. It would be like bow of true shot. Munchcraft recently made a video where he kind of trash talked the true shot bow. So yeah. It would be maybe slightly better on these guys since it's not an item you're crafting. You're just paying 15 gems instead of 5 for that guy. But there's that effect tied to it, so explosion. And yeah, okay, cool. He's actually hitting stuff reasonably well. You can tell them to target specific thing, and when that thing will not be moving, it can actually hit it because, sorry, the movement prediction in Dominus is wonky. It doesn't really work 100%-ish, even if you have technically precision to hit. Like, yeah. You can have 100 precision, you'll still miss because units moves. So yeah, that was my proposal. Sombre doesn't agree with me, I'm pretty sure. So be it. So yeah, these guys will never see the play. I never seen anyone use them. Never. In none of the games. Besides, Nehekhara usually dies in the games I've played in multiplayer. And when I play Nehekhara, I don't think there's a reason to get them. Yeah, sorry, bye. Hero Titan. That's your final highest spending, like they're like 38 dev gems, and 7 thaumaturgy to get. They're commanders, and they're cool. They're really cool. They're size 10. Now, in their case, I wish they were size 9, so they could benefit from larger. Sombre. Why are they size 10 and they are size 9? Literally same hit points. Same fucking sprite's height as well. They stick out. Actually, these guys are bigger. No, maybe not. They started under leadership, and these guys, yeah, okay, they look maybe slightly shorter, but they're hunched down. So, Hero Titan should be size 9 for change, instead of size 10. But in all seriousness, these guys are commanders. They are not priests themselves, but they are domain spreaders, so they're always blessed. And domain spreader is amazing trait to have on something you can be getting numbers of. They are magic spreads. I'm not sure how this works exactly, how badly it negates drain. I did not really get to like scientifically measure it, but it helps. They cause fear. Standard resistances for statues. They can actually go underwater too. They are technically a construct with high protection, but they have some ceremonial armor. Why this is not here? Sorry, here. Why not? Why not here? Again, sorry. Like I'm being playful right now. Don't think I'm like trying to be mean or asshole. Sorry if I come that way. I'm just trying to be playful. But I think like, come on, they're literally statues with same more or less decorations, just for consistency's sake, and I think it would be just nice for those other statues to have it. But yeah, back to Hero Titan. Oh man, this might be my worst national review, I'll be honest with you. I'm just being distracted so much. I'm sorry. I'm having a rough time in life lately. Okay, what else does this thing come with? Light of Petra and Fire of Petra. Very cool. Look at that. You can do it. Precision matching range. They actually hit what they aim. So Light of Petra. AoE 1. Twice damage against demons. So this just butchers demons. And yeah, small area of fire. It's just amazing way of dealing with demons of Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, and Slanesh. It just smacks them in their fucking face. They cannot dodge it. They just roll their armor, and they are hit hard by it. You know, a lot of ammunition too. And Fire of Petra, which is just big burst of flames. Also fantastic. Just this is your artillery guy. This is artillery taken walking form. Very, very cool. The melee is nothing to... they're no slouches. They have Giant Stomp. We saw that. Judgment of Ursina. This is just fucking text incarnate. So 10 damage. Armor negating, not added strength of will. They're difficult to negate with magic with resistance. Doesn't affect mindless, undead, inanimate, or friendlies. So, you know, all your friendlies are undead and inanimate, but it basically it means that it's not useful against other undead nations. That's it. Or you know, if somebody spams long death, it's also not gonna come in handy, which kind of sucks. But it's against living, because the theme of it is, you know, you're being judged into the afterlife, essentially, you know, kind of the Egyptian themes. Bam, AoE 5 just bursting around him, armor negating, just normal guys, normal living beings will be dying hard to it. You know, you'll not be using that thing that often unless they get on top of him, since you'll be just using him as artillery, honestly. And then he smacks people with his staff. Staff is nice because it gives him extra little bit of defense. Yeah, and Hero Titans are awesome. It's just very expensive, right? 38 dev gems. You are, you know, sacrificing 6 scorpions for a single Hero Titan, which can be worth it, absolutely. They just different threat vector. They are Dominion spreader. So yeah, Hero Titans are awesome. Main thing, I wish they were size 9. Again, that's for consistency, okay? Considering hit point values, considering, you know, the giants, I think they should be size 9. And in that, then they can benefit from being enlarged. I think it's fair, right? Because here comes the fucking problem. They're map move 20, like, for some reason. These guys are 18. I mean, I guess they're kind of... I mean, that makes sense. They're more cumbersome to move around the map. Ushapti are 22, Scorpions 26, 26. So the problem with 20 map move is it's not 22, which matches a lot of your profiles. And 20 and 22 actually is a real breakpoint in a game for movement speed. It's a big deal. And one of the reasons why I like taking larger is to make that breakpoint from 20 to 22 on top of those different buffs to strength and hit points. So yeah, if they were, because I'm pretty sure they will not get that movement bonus. Even if you have large in your blast, they will just not get affected by it. So yeah, the only change I would make to Hero Titans, because they're really awesome as they are. I really like them. They're expensive. Like, again, 38 dev gems. It's a lot. For non-mage, it's non-mage, right? I would just make them size 9. And they could benefit from being enlarged and they'll be sick. So yeah, cool. That's the summons. With a lot of rambling around. Technically there are also Kepra Scorpions here, but they're not exactly summons. I'll talk about them in spells. Heroes. So your multi-heroes are Tomb King on feet, or Lich High Priest. So it makes your luck scale kind of valuable because your multi-heroes are very good. You know, you get a couple of them in the early game from your luck. Chefsky is super useful. It saves a lot of gold, saves a lot of command points on your capital. Luck independent heroes, you have only 4, but it's decent roster. Very strong roster. Apopas. He's a super potent assassin. Low morale, just gonna point it out from the get-go. Decent stats besides that, 40 hit points. Combat stat, nothing crazy. He's not a Kai Knight, obviously. But he has a lot of things going on for him. So, scales walls, massive deal. He blinks, so he doesn't work, but blink is weird in the game. He has Reform 20, so don't count on it. But even if it happens, if it saves him, it's awesome. Assassin 1, so I think this value could be higher, honestly, considering he's like fucking teleporting scarab monster. He's floating because he's floating on scarabs. Recuperation, of course. Dominion immortality of 3 months. Again, Dominion. So be careful when using him aggressively. You don't want to lose him, ideally. But defensively, this guy is a monster. You can be throwing him out into risky scenarios when you're defending in your own dominion. If he dies, he comes back quickly. It's awesome. Tier 5, standard resistances. Why is he so good? Soul Reaper. It's a weapon that on hit rolls consume soul, and this is a soul slay essentially. It's a difficult to negate with magic resistance soul slay that also life drains. So when you soul slay something with decent hit points, you jump out to 70 hit points more or less, right? That's something like that, 60, 70. You hit the limit of how much you can improve hit points with life drain. It's astral weapon, so mages with this path have increased magic resistance. Cool. Yeah, very, very, very potent in getting rid of pretenders, super combatants, stuff like that. As long as he survives, of course, and he doesn't run into a brick with like 30 magic resistance. But yeah, difficult to magic resistance. You are really hard to deal with in the early game. When you get him early, he is nightmare to deal with for people. And Sword of Bites. It's also a really good attack. Armor piercing ×4 and scales with strength. So 4 attacks with 18 damage armor piercing. I mean, you don't even have to soul slay somebody. You're just gonna kill him with scarabs. Yeah. And weak poison on top. Super good attack as well. I like personally giving Apophis a little bit extra strength, fixing his morale, because one stupid way he can deal with by routing for some means. So give him some morale, give him strength. Boots of strength are pretty cheap. You can give more strength through miscellaneous items. You can also give him shield and not lose either of these attacks, which is nice. Preferably, the shield you want to give him is something like Lantern Shield, which will spawn a couple of the wisps for you. Alternatively, probably Charcoal Shield, because one of the ways to deal with assassins is, there's like a summoner you're trying to kill that gets a Long Death or Swarm and stuff like that. It bogs you down, so your Charcoal Shield will deal with that. I think it's perfectly worth to invest into him if you want to go after big targets. You could consider giving him Shroud if you have strong bless, but you're gonna sacrifice protection with Shroud. It's something to consider. He does have low basic protection, so Iron Helmet would be tempting as well to give him Iron Skin and skyrocket his protection. So yeah, a great assassin. Really cool. Big map move too. That's he's teleporting around. Yeah, Grand Hierophant. He's like your high-est priest essentially, holy free. Nice spread of magic paths, really big actually. He's a great side searcher if you want to spend time running him around. Decent researcher by himself. There's nothing special about him besides just him being really wide, having wild paths. Wide paths. He doesn't even go up in depth compared to normal high priest. So, I mean, he could have the 4. Come on, Sombre. Make him a little bit more special. I'm joking, of course. It's not a big deal. He's a great side searcher for just running around with one guy and looking for all of these. Yeah, good to have. And you can sleeve him as a master into Communion, and yeah, he can cast whatever you want to out of these, basically. Cool. Yeah, very, very, very nice hero. Necrotech Visionary. So this is your super Necrotech. Besides just having better stats and starting with Earth 3 plus casting Earth Power automatically. So he's basically Earth 4 made from the get-go. Super potent. Like you can cast certain spells turn 1 with it. With gems, of course, and with boots. Be it Earthquake, be it Army of X, like gold, whatever. Yeah, very, very great buffer for your army. He also is a Necrotech that can cast one of the 2 unique spells Necrotechs can cast from the get-go. I'm gonna get into it in a second. But it's probably not worth to use him just for that purpose. Big resource bonus, just more hit points than normal guys. Yeah, super cool guy. Definitely worth not just throwing around and keeping him for big fights where he can put up a big earth spell very quickly. Finally, Cetra, the King of Kings, the greatest conqueror of Warhammer universe, at least when his empire lasted. Yeah, this guy's a monster. He's a weak mage, but Dev 2 means with a with a Dev Gem you can cast Soul Vortex, and he's having fun. Ton of effects on him. Let's go for them. So it's Unsurrendable 5, amazing. He's not gonna get harassed down easily. Dominant Spreader, so he's always blessed. Death Curse as well. Blood Vengeance, so standard Fear from Kings. Inspiration +1, which absolutely doesn't matter unless you're using human troops, which, you know, with him you can reasonably do. Spirit Size Standard. He does have built-in Fire Shield, awesome. His Dominion is 5 months, so standard for Kings. He does have the 5 vulnerability instead of 10, thanks to, you know, wielding Blade of Petra, essentially. And he has built-in Sun O2, I think it's also from this thing, right? Yeah. You cannot replace his weapon, it's cursed. I mean, and why would you? It's an amazing weapon. Armor piercing, 2 attacks. It doesn't have highest of damage, but it's armor piercing, it's fine. Built-in Fire of Petra. Yeah, amazing weapon. The problem is he cannot have shield. That's kind of weird. That's the only weird part. I almost feel like this could be two-handed weapon in that case, but or just give him the other hand slot. Like other Tomb Kings. I mean, okay, because he's wielding that stuff. So unless the other thing, just give him extra attack with the staff, maybe. I mean, he doesn't really need to be stronger, just to be clear, but again, just for consistency of sprite to what he actually does. It's not like Nagash, where his staff technically gives him like the casting potential, right? Something. Yeah, it really doesn't have effect on Cetra as far as I know, but yeah, kind of rambling. So yeah, Grasp of King, standard grasp of the other kings. He has the royal armor and a little bit better hat, Crown of Nehekhara. Sure, nothing special, just a decent helmet. And he's Holy 4. So if you prophet him, he's Holy 5, but I wouldn't advise propheting him, because then if you send him into enemy land, into heavy enemy dominion, he's gonna lose a lot of stats and hit points. Well, to be fair, you know, when if you're sending him, consider his Dome Spreader, and you're likely gonna have some priests with you. Preaching when fighting in enemy lands as Nehekhara is very important. You want to have your Dominion there. You know, it not only will lower enemy morale, but it's a safety net for your kings and Tetra in this case, right? His chariot, amazing. It's size 8, so we're going up from size 6 of normal chariot, size 7 of kings. His chariot is size 8 because it's 2 horses instead of 1. And they have golden barding. It's kind of cooked into their stats, so they have high magic resistance and like extra defense stat essentially. Yeah, very good armor. So yeah, brings them up to 26, 24 body protection. It's still not enough to like ram into anybody. Like it will still get chipped, but yeah, it's way more durable than the other chariots from the get-go. High hit points. The one problem with this thing is it's also sacred, so of course that's great, but Cetra being Dominion Spreader blesses him, but doesn't bless the chariot. I don't think it would be a big deal if this thing was also a Dominion Spreader. Like, yeah, Cetra would be Dominion Spreader too. It's a powerful effect, but it's Cetra, he's a unique hero, he's one of the strongest entities of Warhammer universe. I think if his mount was also Dominion Spreader, it wouldn't be overpowered out of sudden. Like when you're speaking about unique heroes, we're not really considering what's overpowered, because like all of them are in sense overpowered compared to normal things. And that would allow him to not bother having to bless his own steed, right? So yeah, just a thing to Sombre. If he even got to this point, if he's watching and he got to this point and didn't turn off because I'm the critical of some things or something. Yeah, I think this thing could use Dominion Spreader essentially, but yeah, he's your best in general, your best like national thug / super combat, probably not super combatant, but like army thug. He's awesome hero. Don't lose him. I think it's time we talk about national spells. So let's take a look. In Conjuration, you have the Carrions, so it's 12 gems for 4 of them. again, well, you know, it's something. You know, it's a unique vector, like I was talking about. Otherwise, you know, dev gems can be spent better elsewhere. In alteration, you have nothing. In evocation, you also have nothing. In construction, you have two unique spells that can be cast only by your necrotects because it has taskmaster keyword to it, and they are taskmasters for that purpose. So in early wars, because it's important distinction. Like, why is this spell strong? In early wars, every necrotect you have can put a regeneration on your statues when the numbers are few, and you get your first few scorpions or first few ushapti, but mainly scorpions, right? Because, you know, at least in the way I play, right? You can slap 10% regen on them. Realistically, every necrotect can buff two scorpions on hold and attack before they run off out of range, right? It's super powerful. The problem gets later in the game when you have a lot of statues, like of different kinds than scorpions. You have a lot more scorpions. The necrotects will not prioritize scorpions even if they should, honestly, because they're like the most valuable troop with even though they have more hit points than stalkers, like sometimes necrotechs still decide to buff a stalker instead of scorpion for some reason. So the reliability of buffing your guys goes down just because you will not have enough necrotechs to buff all your statues. I mean, of course, I mean, if you whip out 50, then you can reasonably buff 100 times, right? But yeah, it just what I'm saying, as the game progresses, you're gonna have harder time painting all of your statues with generation. But early on, incredible spell. Later on, still useful. Probably one of the better things you can do at first few turns with Earth to Mage. Before you probably cast Earth Power and send them off to do other things, but they'll almost certainly default to just doing Horde of Skeletons because the game just loves casting Horde of Skeletons. The other one is Earth 4, and it's a Necrotech incantation. It gives AoE 1 quickness. It's super good if it was reasonable to cast. It's not. Oh. Basically, for your normal necrotects, for it to cast it, they have to put Earth Power. So there goes one turn. And they have to spend the gem, realistically. Or you have to have boots of air on everybody, right? Something like that. Or you have Earth Boots and you have gems, then you can cast it twice before hold and attack kicks in. So it's really hard to paint. The only thing that you can paint units with in the early game using this buff is using your hero, right? That jumps to air 4 by himself. It's of course crazy powerful effect to get on early. It's just you cannot get it early. And later in the game, realistically, you're gonna get access to water in some ways, and you're gonna be painting quickness with casting quickness. That's gonna be the way you're gonna be giving your units quickness, not with this. This is just too inefficient. So the scenario where this comes in handy is either early hero joining you, and you can put it early on some scorpions and just watch them cleave through stuff. Necrosphinxes make greater use of it. I mean, any statue makes greater use of it. Like, you slap it on two Jackal Ushapti, so their 4 attacks suddenly jump to 8. Yeah, they're also cleaving through stuff. So yeah, it's awesome in like smaller scale. In smaller scale, we can maybe afford casting that Earth Gem and Earth Power and just painting one square. Sometimes it can matter when you're like doing raiding with Necrotect and just very few statues. If that's how you choose, but you know, again, I would be probably raiding with mainly with chariots. Enchantment. So enchantment is where you get Ushapti. So yeah, 12 gems for 4. You get this thing doesn't exist. Stalkers. So for 12 you get 3. And Worst Things is 25 for 1. In Thaumaturgy, so yeah, the stuff is spread out a lot. In Thaumaturgy, you get access to Tomb That Cattle, 6 gems for 1. And yeah, that's the thing, right? 3 death, 1 fire. That's why it's only your cap only, slow to recruit mages that can cast it. Necroid Colossi, again, not worth casting. It also requires that free. Funny. And Soul Hero Titan. This one requires Astro Random. Yeah, this one is good. So that's the unique spells and unique summons. Oh, there's divine, of course. You know, the divine paths for Nehekhara are very, very good actually. Any of your mages essentially can cast Copra Scorpion. Copra Scorpions are, it's kind of like mini horde of skeletons. Nurgle has kind of equivalent of it in form of Nurglings, so it's easily spammable. For scorpions being summoned, those scorpions are size 1, so that's one of the things that you can do where, yeah, your stalkers are size 6, which is okay. You cannot fit anything in there too much, especially if you go with larger bless. You can maybe fit, you know, one of your sacreds, but or one other skeleton, or you know, you get 4 little scorpions in there, and those 4 little scorpions harass people down just as effectively as anything else. So that's awesome. That's an awesome tool of catching lances, of eating high damage attacks, and yeah, it's a great spell. Sadly, AI doesn't default to it. When you go into the normal script, when you go out of the script, and you have, if you can even summon the basic skeleton, like it's not even horde of skeleton or rise skeletons, even the normal single shitty long dead, fucking AI will summon him instead of this. Like, goddammit. Goddammit, curse you, AI casting. Chant of Healing. I think sometimes I've seen this being cast. But yeah, it just AoE heal for your skeletons. Pretty good if you want to like manually do it. If you expect it to come to play, maybe you get Earthquake and you have it. You plan for Earthquakes, you get hit, you cast this, you quickly heal up, another Earthquake hits you, you're fine, something like that. It's okay, it's nice it does that, right? AI, I think sometimes will be smart and cast it in clutch scenarios, but at least it's there, right? Resilience. Now this is cool. It's bark skin, but without the downside of fire vulnerability, just something to bring up basic protection. But we're starting to see one problem. It's Holy 2. It's also slow to cast. So you're casting it only, you know, every 2 turns. It's very slow to get those big chants out. Scales, poor, I mean, some scaling, right? So with Holy Free, it's because your Tomb Kings can absolutely cast it. It's a use for them to buff up your troops before starting to smite or you know, run to combat themselves. They can cast some of those chants, so they'll be hitting 6 tiles with it. This is nice. The better one is Chant of Might. This is like your out of the gate Strength of Giants. Affects only undead again, so it doesn't affect your statues, but it is an amazing way of hitting above your weight with your sacreds, with your tomb guards. Yeah, it's gonna give a lot more extra attack, but it's difficult to paint large number of troops with. Again, it's Holy 2, very slow to cast, relatively small AoE, but it's there. It's absolutely useful, very useful. Tomb Swarm is just cracked version of Scorpions, but I don't really get it. It requires Holy Free to cast it. So how are you supposed to cast it? Like, I feel like that there's some oversight happening here. You know, where it's meant to be cast by your High Priest, but they actually cannot cast it because they're not Holy Free. So that's one of the arguments that I think it's totally fine to bring the Holy Priest, the High Priest to Holy Free. Maybe, I don't even think they need, maybe make them 400 gold, you know, just a little bump of gold cost, sure. And they would actually be able to cast it, because as it is, it literally cannot be cast by anybody. Unless you put somebody in a communion, then they can. Because it would be a very cool spell, 16 scorpions in one go. Although it's slow to cast. Ew, I didn't notice that before. Ew. Why? So it's only like twice as effective as Kepra Scorpions, essentially, with those requirements? What the fuck? I mean, then you just have more acolytes casting this. Yeah, okay, that spell kind of... Not only you cannot really cast it, it's also not even that good of a value. And then Chant of the Undying, the best chant you have. It gives regeneration to your undead. Why is it the best? You slap it on your thugs, your kings. I mean, even your skeletons can benefit from it, especially your sacreds, essentially, right? If you go Undying route, you have quite a lot of hit points to work with, so Chant of Undying, appropriately named, will help them stick in the combat. It will make your thugs less susceptible to wounds. It will help them survive. Yeah, that one is great. Everything else, standard. Cetra can cast Fanaticism from the get-go, which you absolutely don't need. You're undead. And that's an argument to prophetize him, so you get Divine Channeling. So you bring up all your acolytes from Holy 1 to Holy 2. It is an argument to be made. Against certain enemies with banishment, increasing a level, it's a huge deal. Opens up Smite Demon, opens up Holy Word. That's some stuff. For items, you don't really have any unique items. You have some discounts. I don't quite remember, to be honest with you, all the items you have discounts. So you have discount for School Talisman. You have discount for... I think it's here. For this thing, for Star of Darkness. Let's see, any other dev... you just know some dev items you have discounts for. Funny enough, you have discounts for a couple of relics for the Big Hat, Amenhotep, and Crown of the Despair. So yeah, like I'm saying, just a couple, the Ankh, things that you think of like could be thematic to Nehekhara. It's really not a big deal. Really, life after death for Undead Nation. Sombre is funny. Okay, well, Pocket Lich, nice. Dev Globes, it is. So yeah, like just in general, some dev items, not too many. Obviously, not the strong ones. Like you're not gonna have it for School Mentor, obviously. But there we go, Crown of Bones. Like the items that you probably normally don't see, will get that little bit of discount. What's left? Talk about Pretender. This is your Pretender pool. Not very impressive. You have only one Dominion 1 guy, which is Serpent King. He's solid. Not the best. Not the best Pretender chassis for you because it's nature one. Like you'd rather have somebody with death as your Holy One. But it works. Decent monsters. Mainly you have access to Devour Soul, which is perfectly good Pretender to have. You have, of course, the Demi-Lich, which has been nerfed significantly. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, their price went up some time ago. And yeah, Baphomet, just various statues, tablets, of course. Okay, so I have two big suggestions, or rather three. Okay, three suggestions for the archetype you want to go. You either go for Heavy Blast, and for Heavy Blast, you go Rainbow. You go Monster, which probably will be Devour Soul to help you out with expansion, to be some sort of a unique threat vector for you against opponents. And you probably go like mixed Blast, mixed scales, kind of middle of the road. And then there are statues. And with statues, you probably want to go heavier, or rather, by statues, I mean immobiles, of course. You probably will go heavier with your scales. So you'll be getting a lot more troops. And with them, what I would highly recommend, and possibly with Devour too, you start Awake, right? If you're going Rainbow, probably Imprison, right? Even if you put something Incarnate, you're doing that to get most points. Incarnate, Imprisoned, and you just suck it up with the lack of Dominion, right? With those, you start Awake, and that will open up your good recruitment really quickly, potentially even turn 3 with your god, right? Maybe even turn 2 if you're lucky. Awake Researcher, also potent. You're gonna get to your strong summons really quickly. You can pop out some Ushapti, some maybe even Scorpions, whatever goal you choose. It can, with couple Necrotects, painting, a little bit of regeneration, you just ram into somebody very quickly, right? You start amassing chariots early on, you start expanding with chariots instead of having to rely on your shitty ass skeletons till you can recruit anything good, like sacreds if you go for heavy bless. So yeah, there's a lot of arguments for Awake researching Immobile. He will spread dominion, he'll put you to your research goal faster, he'll be defending your capital. You can afford decent scales with them as well, so yeah, that's kind of my ideas for pretenders. Probably one of my favorites is Battle of Stars, because I will absolutely go into luck. And with Nehekhara, because you have the access to citadels, you don't need to go high order. Like, even though they have bonus to order, like order 1 is the most you can probably want. I'll be honest with you. You'll be able to recruit so many skeletons. Anyways, maybe order 2. Sure, if you're like planning for loss of population from death, because likely just to get a lot of points, and because you halve the penalty from death. So instead of having a -% from death 5, you're gonna have 0.5. It's just so many points you can get. Until you get fucked by wastes. Like, again, I'm gonna repeat it. If you are playing Nehekhara, try to convince your game master or whoever's making map that Nehekhara starts on waste. And that you have the mod, which will also be nice for everybody else. Like, I don't think anybody hates it. The mod that gives you starting sight to your capital, that negates the pop growth malice from your starting capital province type. It's one of the decisions I just don't understand in Dominion 6. Why is your cap suffering from your natural terrain? I don't get it. Waste is essentially for Nehekhara, right? Extra 5 dev scales on top of your already existing dev scales, right? Or if or just like if you are any other nation, it's your 5 dev scales. It's -1% of pop every fucking turn. It's just brutal. It's 0.5, right? Just waste itself. It's crazy painful. And if you convince, if you host yourself, you're gonna have really good time with Nehekhara. Because you can get stalkers early on and they supplement your army perfectly. It helps you cover for a lot of threats that you normally would struggle heavily against, even with your statues. Who knows? They know. I mean, certain demigryphs, for example, or just in general, things with low MR, high damage that can pop your statues still. Yeah, so my overall verdict for Nehekhara. Nehekhara is strong. It's a strong nation, but its strength comes through kind of gimmicks of not having upkeep on your troops. And your mages being sacred, so having a bit lower upkeep. Having overall good summons. The selected few summons that are good, high map move, right? Because around that you have high map move. Quite unique commanders, powerful thugs, good access to magic, citadels. So you have strong scaling through just a number of mages you can get, through having more gold than everybody else as the game progresses, assuming you're doing decently well and you actually conquer some player. Then the upkeep, the gold difference of upkeep between nation that has to pay it into late game and doesn't is tens of thousands of gold in like dozen and 20 turns, something like that, right? So but it's necessary because you don't have scaling like many other dev nations do. You don't get dev gems from temples like Armor in Vanilla or like Nagashizar. You don't get some gimmicky stuff like Vampiria with their different families getting just vast roster of stuff, and some. I don't think they get free spawn actually. They might. I don't quite know. Sorry, but they have some gimmicks themselves, right? So you don't have the traditional scaling of a Death Nation, but you don't also murder your provinces like Death Nation does. Your Dominion itself doesn't kill, thankfully, that because Nehekhara would be unplayable if it did. Your Dominion itself doesn't kill population. It's just the death scale. You are exceedingly weak in the early game. Like, super weak. If you go for Imprisoned Pretender, you better fucking know what you're doing and be very confident in your skills, in your build, in how you want to defend, in your diplomacy, so you wiggle out of trouble, because like I'm pretty sure almost every nation in a mod can kill you early game. And of course they will take ages to siege your capital because it's Citadel, but like you just don't have means of defending yourself with this garbage. Like this garbage just loses to everything. Your mid game picks up, your late game can vary. Of course, you have access to a lot of powerful things, darkness, rigor mortis. If you get some interesting cross buffs, Wailing Winds. You know, Wailing Winds being, of course, glamour now, not death. But, you know, you come with some problems at that point by being undead and having statues. Undead Mastery comes into play. All these spells that counter undead, like, you know, banishments, the dust to dust or wither, the big AoE, that's like it's wither bones, if I remember correctly, right? That chews through you. There are astral spells that catch you, like stellar rays, right? Something like that. Sun rays, whatever. You know which I'm talking about. But it's also very strong against your undead. Any Earth nation that gets crumble, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter how good your statues are, you're gonna cry from Earth Shatter. It's gonna fuck your statues up. But there's also stuff like Control that's gonna steal them from you because they're magic beings, or, you know, the Unraveling. You know, there's a lot of stuff in a late game that counters you hard, or all of your roster can get countered hard. And also you don't benefit from certain buffs. You can't put army regeneration yourself. You know, you have that small shitty means of getting that regen on your troops, but it's not really realistic for battles of hundreds and hundreds, right? You cannot put luck on yourself because you're undead. That's honestly, not getting luck, not being able to give yourself luck for late game is one of the most defeating things that can happen to undead nation. I'm also of course talking about very late game, you know, where you break into glamour and get somebody to cast it on everybody. But luck is extremely powerful. You cannot give luck to your units. Simple as. Maybe a luck item works on commanders. I'm not sure. Luck just doesn't work on undead. I don't think it has to be undead, mindless. I think it's just undead and just inanimate that basically make you not benefit from luck. So yeah, get past your early game, run into mid game strong, kill somebody that relies on infantry, ideally with your chariots. Scale with side searching. Heavy side searching is very important as well. Use your necrotects. That's the pups you need the most. But your hero can do it well. Lich High Priest can do also it well if you get like 2 in fire, 2 or rather maybe even 3 in fire, 2 in air, 2 in astral. You can also use High Priest for some side searching. I'm not a fan of remotes, but if you are remotes, you need to get your earth and death income up as quickly as possible, because without statues, even if you go high skills, if you go like pretender that will give you access to your Dominion 4 recruitments quickly, without statues you are boned because your troops are not good enough to deal with many things in the mode, and many counters that undead troops suffer from. So yeah, that'll be it. I'm sorry, this was very freeform. Normally I'm a little bit more prepared with some notes on the other monitor when I'm doing like national overview, but I guess I'm kind of keeping it in my style. Well, I'm not keeping things super scripted. It's probably a bad thing. I know it's maybe a little bit harder to listen to, but hey, keeping real, I guess. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informative for somebody that's completely new to the nation, at least. If somebody's more experienced, maybe I gave you some new ideas, maybe I shed some light. And if you think you are an expert in Nehekhara and I think I'm wrong, then by all means tell me that, because yeah, maybe I'm just being stupid about some things and I'm completely missing the point. Maybe actually these guys are the best thing ever in the world, but I just don't understand them. You know, it can happen. So yeah, by all means, comment, like or dislike the video if you really think I said something outrageous. And yeah, I'll talk to you some other time. Thanks for watching so much. Bye bye.